Every transformation always gets worse before it gets better. It's supposed to be that way. The journey you're embarking on is not an easy path. It's not for the ill-hearted or the weak-natured. It's for the strong people. And before you embark on this journey, mentally you have to prepare yourself for it, knowing it's going to get worse before it gets better. When you embark this journey, you must know that it's going to go down before it comes up. But when it comes up, it's going to go so much higher than you've ever been. Sacrificing today for tomorrow's betterment. But if you didn't know that, mentally, you didn't prepare for that, you think something's wrong, maybe it's time to stop. No, it's time to move even further. You have to be equipped mentally to endure this process, knowing it's an uphill battle, but a winnable one and one that's achievable. And at the end of this race, guys, you're going to be more capable. The first step, guys, is knowing it's a tough road. But through that effort, builds the character of the person you want to be at the end. Accept that.
What is up, YouTube? Live via satellite here, and today we are talking Kingdom, Manga chapter 558. And man, guys, this week's chapter was so good. I mean, it left me with a lot of different questions because, you just don't know. With that cliffhanger, you just don't know. And I came up with a lot of different ideas of what could possibly be going on, but you just never know. And I'll try to go over as many as I can when we get to the end of the review. And look, man, I know the chapter's good when Devil Hex has to hit me up on an old review so we can chop it up a little bit about the current chapter. And I really actually wanted to do a Twitter poll this week and try to kind of get a feel about what you guys may have thought about whether Akko was definitely gonna die here or whether he could possibly be saved or whatever. But I didn't even do that because I do such a bad job at promoting that I even have a Twitter. So we really don't have that many followers. And I really didn't want to have too small a sample size when it came to the opinion because I kind of wanted to include it into the review. So for future stuff, guys, here's the Twitter so that we can try to do some different things and have another level of interaction with the channel. Speaking of the channel, I kind of forgot all about this, guys, but we did hit 400 subscribers. I just wanted to say thank you guys real quick. I really appreciate you guys coming through, especially because, you know, I'm extra late with the reviews all the time, and you guys still show a lot of love, so I just wanted to say thank you, and I really do appreciate it. And we really needed this great chapter of Kingdom this week. I'm thinking that we're finally starting to get out of all the setup chapters, and things are actually going to start to rev up quite a bit. And to be honest, guys, I really can't even begin to tell you how excited I am. Alright, so the chapter starts out with a whole bunch of Quinn soldiers yelling out to stop Bananji. But we see that is an impossible task for these fodder, as they get sliced through with ease by Bananji. And then we find ourselves with Akko observing this scene from the HQ, and he's receiving reports that Bananji is making his way further and further inside their formation, and that he's making sure to thoroughly destroy the joints, and that with him now breaching the third wall, the formation can no longer function. And as Akko's receiving more and more reports of his officers falling on the battlefield, Gyou arrives on the scene telling Akko that the Zhao have really gotten them good this time, and that with somebody like Bananji leading them, there's no way that they'd be able to stop him. And he says that the only thing that they would have been possibly able to do would be to entrap Bananji with their fences formation, but since Gyou is also pushing them from the front, they really don't have that luxury. And Gyou can't help but to wonder, how did things spiral out of control like this? But the biggest mystery to him is, how are the Zhao able to figure out the secret to their formation in such a short time frame? And of course, even though Gyou doesn't know, we all know the answer to that question. And Gyou goes on to say that, since they haven't taken too many losses, they should fall back now and regroup. But Akko tells Gyou that cannot be done. But Gyou further argues his point by saying that once the Zhao infiltrate their formation and swarm them, they will then reach the point of no return. But Akko tells Gyou that if they were to withdraw, that would expose the Shin unit and Gyou units to attack by leaving them completely isolated. Realizing that the young master would be in danger, Gyou backs off, and Akko also informs him that the way the Shin unit and Gyou are attacking Gakue is quite favorable to them, and that they need to hold these three armies in check until they're able to take Gakue's head. But Gyou thinks that's a heavy price to pay if the Akko army is destroyed here. But Akko says that that will not be a problem because he intends to go handle Banaji personally himself, even saying that he has grown sick of his ugly mug. But besides that, it would actually speed up their plan by half a day if he were able to kill him. But as Gyou looks on, we see Akko thinking to himself that the main problem would actually be that Gyou is trailing behind, and that he must bring Banaji down before he can reach them. And since Akko and Gyou have apparently been together for a long time, we can see that Gyou knows what Akko's thinking, and immediately goes on to say that he along with his men will hold off Gyou and give Akko plenty of time to slay Banaji. Hearing this, Akko questions if Gyou thinks he's up to this task, and that Gyou is no ordinary foe. And I have to believe that deep down inside, Akko knew that having an old grandpa of a man way past his prime watching your back against someone that was once the martial might of one of the three great heavens was probably not a good idea. But Gyou reassures Akko that even though he's not quite at his level, he is still also able to employ some of Osun's tactics. Along with the fact that he intends to use some of his strongest soldiers, Gyou believes that this will be enough to give Akko plenty of time to take Banaji down. And after telling Gyou not to be reckless, Akko also tells him to pull out once he's killed Banaji. And then that will give them the opportunity to surround and trap Gyou with the fences formation. And I hope we really do get to see what this fences formation is all about, because the way Gyou and Akko keep hyping it up, it seems like it's really powerful. Then over at Banaji, we see that he's being informed that a unit is making its way down from the enemy HQ, and it's making their way toward them. And Banaji can't help but to grin at this news, seeing that Akko has come to do battle after all. Alright, so then we find ourselves on Shin's battlefield, where we see that with his strength, Shin has been able to break through the front line of Gakuei's defense, where he was actually able to see Gakuei's personal unit. And this was also true for Gakuei, who was also finally able to lay eyes on Shin's personal unit. And then from Ohan's vantage point, we see that they realize that these two armies are so close that they'll probably clash before Ohan and his army are able to make it there. Realizing this, Ohan decides that they should try to diagonally cut across the battlefield, but they are intercepted by units from the Gakuei army who do not want them to interfere with this battle. And we actually see that this has been set up by Gakuei, who realizes that the Gyokuho were trying to interfere and is sending more men to keep them at bay. And at the same time telling his elites to clear away the trash between him and Shin. We can tell Gakuei is definitely motivated to get his revenge.
And I will have my vengeance, in this life or the next.
Psych!
But at the same time, we see that the High Hyo unit has no intentions of letting anybody get to Shin before he's able to meet up with Gakuei and settle this debt once and for all. And as the battle begins to intensify all around, we see Gakuei looking over the battlefield, wondering what Shin's waiting for. He wants him to hurry up and meet him so that he with his spear can personally skewer his brain through his skull. But over at Shin, we see that he's acting kind of weird. All of a sudden, we see him starting to breathe heavy and focus in on his glaive. So who knows what this actually means, but it's really intriguing, and since there's a lot of different things that this could possibly be, we'll discuss it more in depth at the end of the review. But then we find ourselves back with Akko and Banaji, and the two of them are actually in the middle of battle. And seeing the two of them go back and forth, you can tell that they're kind of on even footing. And this is co-signed by one of Gyou's men, as we see that they're actually able to see the clash from their current position. But Gyou is not focused on that, as he has more pressing matters on his mind at the moment. And he tells one of his officers to get this message to Akko right away. And the message is that he must retreat. This causes Gyou to turn around in disbelief. But in the very next panel, we see what the problem is, as we see Gyou's glaive amidst nothing but blood and body parts. And for some reason, seeing Gyou's glaive like this just appears so menacing, almost like a shark's dorsal fin in the water. And Gyou goes on to say that in the 45 years that he's spent on the battlefield, he's never committed such a huge blunder, and that he doesn't know how he was able to so tremendously misjudge Gyou's inhuman might. and that he had no idea that this man was capable of something of this level. Everything he tried, from tactics to ploys using deception and trickery, were absolutely useless against him. And he says, so this is the man known as Gyou. And this panel with Gyou is just ridiculous. It just shows him obliterating Akko's men. And as we see Gyou charge in to do his best to stop Gyou's rampage, we see him think to himself, Akko, you must run. As Gyou's blade slices cleanly through him, Gyou, you will be missed. Back over at Akko and Bananji, we see that they are still evenly matched, but we also see a horse galloping in, leaving body parts in its wake. And as Akko and Bananji turn, we see that the messenger has also arrived, but it appears that he may be a bit too late as he screams out Akko-sama. As we see that Gyou has arrived and is in striking distance of Akko. And as both Bananji and Gyou simultaneously swing their glaives to take Akko's head, all he can do is turn in disbelief, as he could soon possibly find himself suffering the same fate as Mako. And that was a chapter in a nutshell, guys. And this was an excellent chapter of Kingdom, guys. It was pretty crazy. I mean, even though we knew that there was going to be a major catastrophe on this battlefield this day, Hara did an excellent job displaying it. Like, he showed Gyou looking unstoppable this chapter. He may even be stronger than the time that he was fighting against Shin, because if you remember, he said he was only able to use like half his power at the time. So if he was rusty, he's definitely shaking a lot of that off. And I'm really not surprised that he was able to weave his way through Gyou's strategies, because being an instinctual general like Gyou, along with the fact that he studied regular tactics under Rin Sojo, it's hard for tactics to work against him, as we've already seen with Ten and Gyou, so I'm not really surprised. Even though he was trying to use some of Osun's tactics, he forgot one of Osun's most important rules. Never fight a battle that you're not 100% certain you can win. That is the #1 rule at the top of the Osun strategy book. So the big question after this chapter is, what's going to happen with Akko? And the way the situation looks right now, it looks like he's not long for this world. But there is a small possibility that he could be saved. Because earlier in the chapter, when we see Shin have that little moment where he's like breathing really hard, to me looking back on this chapter, I kind of had a feeling like Shin was having like an instinctual moment there. And that something was telling him that he needed to abandon his mission and get to Akko's battlefield. Now, I could be dead wrong about this, and he could have just been having a moment where he's like getting ready for his battle against Gakue. But do you really think that Gakue's worth that kind of a moment? Cause I don't. But if Shin does go to that side of the battlefield, I don't think there would be an issue with time, because Hara made sure to let us know that Shin's battle was taking place at the exact same time that Akko was leaving his HQ to face Bananji. So if that's the case, Shin should have plenty of time to go aid Akko. And if something does happen to Akko, then at least Shin's in a position where he can possibly help to save some of the Akko army. Because what I really think their big failure is going to be on this day of the battle is that they're going to wind up not killing any of the generals. Because by Shin abandoning his mission to kill Gakue, it's going to wind up where once he helps Akko, they may just have to pull back for the day and regroup, which would then have Ohan's plan to take out everybody one by one go up in smoke. But to be honest, this kind of makes perfect sense to me, because I really didn't want to see Shin take out Gakue, and I could be wrong, he could still be going after him, because I really didn't think it made too much sense, especially if he was going to have to take on Gyou, because in this battle, I think we still need feats for Ten and Kyokai. And in my opinion, the best matchups on this battlefield would be for Shin to go up against Gyou, Akko to go up against Bananji, Ohan to take on Chogaryu, and Kyokai taking on Gakue. And if their plans fail today, they may be forced to launch a simultaneous attack against all the armies at the same time on the next day. And I think it would be cool if Ten were the one to suggest this new plan, and I think that would kind of give her a bit of a redemption. But obviously this is all my own speculation and is likely not to happen, but I thought it was a cool idea and somewhat in the realm of possibilities. But also a couple chapters worth of content, and who's to say we even stay on this battlefield after a chapter or two. But I have to admit that I am kind of happy that we are almost through this section, because now the portion where the plan is going to fail is almost over and we can get right into this turnaround, because you know things are about to go the other direction. And you know Osen is about to make some sort of play. It's got to happen. And before we go, I definitely want to give a shout out to my man FBO94. Last week in the comment section with his prediction, he pretty much nailed it. So we definitely got to give him his props for that, because he was on the money. But anyway, guys, that about does it for this week's review. Let me know what you guys thought of the chapter in the comments section below. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.